And Sean Lee is a leader and as a veteran and someone in that meeting room, that's worth the money.
Him and Jason Witten, one on the offensive end, one on the defensive side to give him more leadership.
To the NBA now, Sixers and Pacers duked it out yesterday. Sixers dominated thanks to Joel Embiid. He returned to action after missing 8 games. He had 32 points, 12 assists. The Sixers move into a tie now with Indiana for the 3rd best record in the East. Nick, how dangerous is Philly when Embiid is playing like this?
Listen, Embiid was excellent. The defense was suffocating in the second half. Indiana scored 30 points. Embiid with the 33 points, 12 rebounds was a great return for him. And C, very important in the standings. The Celtics, Pacers, Sixers, 2 of them are going to be in the 4-5 line.
Yep.
So right now the Sixers got up to the 3 line, tied with the tiebreaker over Indiana. Enormous game for them because they don't want to be playing in that first round 4-5.
Right. There's a number of things that make Philly a tough matchup. They lead the NBA in attendance. They over 20,000. The only NBA team has over 20,000. Also, their ability for Joel Embiid to get you in foul trouble, and they got 4 starters that shoot over 80% from the free throw line. Everyone, of course, Ben Simmons.
Yeah, everyone but Ben.
Moving on to the Lakers now.
Which is huge. Sorry.
More bad news to go with the existing bad news that there has been the regular season. Both Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball were shut down for the remainder of an already disappointing year. Neither will be needed for the playoff run the team will most likely not be making. Nick, what does this mean for the Lakers now moving forward?
All right, so the Ingram thing is a real big problem, and it's a scary injury, and I understand. Listen, it's deep vein thrombosis. It's blood clot, and it's a blood clot in his arm and his shoulder area as opposed to in his leg, which is more typical. They reportedly caught it early. They think they can deal with it. Serena Williams had a blood clot, came back as fine. Chris Bosh had bad blood clots, and it ended his career. But for Ingram, let's just assume that because it was caught early, they can deal with it, right? Because that's the only way he's a key point for this team, either trade-wise or otherwise moving forward. He was playing the best basketball of his life since the All-Star game. 6 games, averaging 28 points per game. Averaging. That after throughout the first year and a half of his career.
Never had more than 26
only eclipsed 26 points one time. And so I had said last week that one of the few bright spots for the Lakers was, with the season falling apart, the Anthony Davis trade, they had a more attractive package put together because they were going to have a lottery pick, a good lottery pick, and Ingram was looking better and better. And now for Ingram to have a real question mark about can he be the centerpiece of a trade when he has this injury, when he has this condition, if you will, and can't have 16 games of that level of production. Instead, it could just be an outlier. That's bad news. And for Lonzo, what if the Lakers defense all of a sudden went back to being a top 12 defense when Lonzo came back? You could just say, all right, look, it was a Lonzo effect defensively, which makes him a more attractive trade piece. Instead, they won't see him on the court this year. So this is way worse news than the 5-game losing streak or anything else going on with the team. These 2 young players not playing again this year is a big deal and potentially hugely problematic for them in the trade market.
And if they decide to trade them, they can never say that they know what kind of players they're going to be. If they do put them in a trade, they'll be giving up on them early. You mentioned Ingram playing the best basketball of his career. They also, from the injury standpoint, what if they get lucky? What if they can't move Ingram? They get another free agent to come join LeBron, and then Ingram is able to pick up where he left off next season because of the injury that he can't get traded. Unfortunately for him, it's bad timing. But also, with Lonzo out, with Ingram out, Kuzma's hurt. That's why I sit LeBron. I sit him on out. Like, why waste those minutes? You can't even justify, oh, well, the young guys, they're getting more chemistry, more time on the court. No, you're putting minutes onto a superstar that you're going to need those minutes, right? I would actually be trying to tank right now to try to get the highest probability of winning the lottery so that I might be able to get Zion also.
And when you bring up the lottery, people should understand the better lottery odds, it's not just about Zion. Everyone wants Zion, but it's the better chance of getting the 2nd pick, the 3rd pick, getting a top 6 pick.
But he's the only player that people are mentioning.
No, of course. Yes. I'm just for the audience because they might see, if the Lakers, to C's point, if they fall 2 more places in the standings, they all of a sudden would have a 25% chance of a top 4 pick. So even if their chance of Zion is a couple percent, like the ability to get, there's Ja Morant, There's Zion. There's R.J. Barrett. There's 3 guys that people consider blue chippers.
And it's more of an asset.
Right, and it is much more attractive in a trade. One of the arguments I had to not shutting down LeBron is you don't know if you're going to be able to trade these guys. You don't know if you're going to trade all of them or any of them. So more court time with him with these young players is relevant. That,
because
of course,
players
now,
aren't even on.
Right, that's now out the window. Like that is we didn't know at the time Ingram was going to have any type of serious situation, and it was being reported they thought Lonzo might be back this week. They're now both done for the year. So that argument as to why LeBron should play doesn't qualify, because LeBron playing with the Caruso and Jonathan Williams, that Mo Wagner, that's irrelevant.
Quick question about Lonzo Ball. If we have some semblance of an idea of who Ingram was, especially since we've seen him after the All-Star break, is the jury still out on Lonzo Ball? He's missed a big part of this season. He seems to be kind of injury prone. Do we know what kind of player he is, or do you need to see another year or so before you could clump him into?
Oh, at least another year. No, he's got a problem. I mean, is he going to ever develop a jump shot? He can't shoot free throws. So ultimately, like, how high is his ceiling in the NBA? Now, he did become their best defender, but you don't spend a lottery pick, typically a top 5 pick, for a guy to be a defensive specialist. So there's still so many questions as far as his overall game. Yeah, Lonzo, he needed the full year of year 2 and a full year with LeBron at least to have any idea of was he going to live up to that draft stock. I would say right now, the odds are he will never live up to the draft pick, but we don't know what he is. Like, he needs at least another full season under his belt.
All right, let's move on to the Warriors. Not a great weekend for the best team in basketball. That's because they lost to the second worst team in basketball last night. In fact, they've lost 6 of their last 10 games, and Kevin Durant left in the 4th quarter last night with an ankle injury. He was overheard in the tunnel yelling, "We need to be playing championship basketball." However, Klay Thompson had a different take. Take a listen.
I expect our crowd to be a little more into it too. Like, I know it's not the playoffs, but it is our last go-around at Oracle. At least you can stand up or something. We make a good play, especially in the beginning. We need that energy, especially this time of the year. It's hard to conjure up energy every single night because you're looking forward to the playoffs and that run. So we expect our fans to kind of, bring that from the jump. You can't, I mean, it's like us though. You can't bring it every night, but still, it helps when it doesn't matter if we're playing the Suns or the Bucks, whoever it is. We need that energy from them because we feed off that.
We don't hear a lot of sentiment from Klay Thompson generally, but a lot of emotion after this loss. How alarming is the Warriors' recent slump, CC?
It's not alarming to me. Like, we've seen teams. The reason why teams have a hard time putting together 3 or 4 seasons in a row at a championship level, because you get distracted. It becomes very, very difficult. The expectations change. The players, even their expectations have changed as far as going to the arena. It's the same arena, but they're not putting on the same performance they put on the last 3 or 4 years. So the fans are reacting in that way. I take exception to what he was saying, because I was watching this game, and the Warriors got off to their typical start, had a nice double-digit lead in the 1st quarter. But they gave up 40 points.
In the 2nd quarter.
In the 2nd quarter. So their defense is not nearly on the level. Now, we haven't seen all the players playing well together. I would say Iguodala is not the same player. Sean Livingston is not the same player off the bench. Draymond, as an offensive player, is not nearly the same. So, Klay, when you're talking about the people at Oracle, because I'm sure they're the same people. All right. Now, do they come to the game with different expectations? They might. But what they've seen on the court is a different Warriors team. They're not as deep as they have been. So the basketball that they're playing, even based on their record, as you can see, is not up to the standard that these fans have been used to. You got them spoiled, Klay.
And listen, I really, really like Klay Thompson. This, to me, was a foolish comment. He said it. He said, he's like, listen, obviously we can't bring it every night, but hopefully the fans could. That's not how this works. Right. And like, when the Warriors have made it clear that they are going to take the regular season the last few years kind of for granted, some nights your fans are going to. Now, what is so, it's not even confusing, it's almost predictable about the Warriors at this point, was their games this weekend. I said last week that if they were the Warriors team that we all thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year, they'd blow out the Nuggets. They would remind everybody of that. They would have a real intensity. They would understand the 1 seed is on the line on Friday night with the team trying to chase them, and they would play some of their best basketball. And they had a near 20-point lead at halftime, and they beat the Nuggets by 17 points. But it's like the moment they did that, it's been since February 12th since they've won back-to-back basketball games. Think about that. It's almost been a month since they won back-to-back games. But the other point you made, see, about Draymond. All right, so Draymond obviously is out there for his defense, and they allow 40 points in the second quarter, and Draymond's defense has not been up to the level it had been in recent years. But if we show the last meaningful play of the game, this is where Draymond has been killing them. Let me just set the stage a bit. Steph's bringing the ball up the court. They're down 3 points. Steph is double-teamed the entire time. And when he throws it to Draymond, you can see it. No one is guarding Draymond, and he didn't even look to the basket. It's a 3-point game. The 73-win season, Draymond shoots that ball. 2 years ago, post-73-win season, he at least turns and faces, so they have to collapse on him, and you can go good shot, great shot. Draymond is being guarded on that possession like a Ben Simmons. Like, we know you're not shooting, so we can just use the man away from you. That, once Kevin Durant goes out of the lineup, as he did midway through the fourth quarter, all of a sudden that offense can be quelled even with the great Steph Curry on the court. Like, that play right there is telling, because guys are just saying, all right, Draymond, no problem whatsoever. He was 38%. The 73-win year. He was 34% the following season. Now he's under 25%, and guys in big spots are guarding him accordingly.
Steph Curry said after the game, it seems like the difference between this year and last year is, yeah, last year we had a little slide, but we were injured. This year we're having the slide. We're all healthy. It seems like that's an issue right now. They can't seem to get it all together. Is that how it feels to you, see, watching this year and watching last year, that they can't quite put it all together?
Well, last year they did have a built-in excuse, and last year they still played with more energy. You didn't see the inconsistency this late in the season when all the guys were healthy. But they really have a problem, because we won't ever be able to give them enough credit, because what a collection of shooters they have is really special. But, man, they were a great defensive team. And that's how you win championships, because you can't shoot threes every night and depend on it. Ask Houston when they went cold last year. You have to be able to play some defense. And that is what made the Warriors so special. That's what has made them one of the best teams, not only of talent, but as far as record. And that's why you could put them in oh, man, would this team beat the Bulls? Would this beat the old Lakers? Because on the defensive end, they've been special.
On that note, in the last 30-plus years, only 2 teams have won a championship without a top 10 defense. One of the Shaq Kobe Lakers and LeBron's team in Cleveland. The Warriors right now are the 14th ranked defense in basketball. So they're not going to get up into the top 3 as they had been early on. But if you stay out of the top 10, historically speaking, you're in the danger zone as far as being a championship team.
All right, we'll take a break. Coming up, who won the Antonio Brown trade? It's ahead on First Things First.